Hi guys, let's continue with the Xpath. So in the previous section or in the previous video, we got to know how to write the Xpath, which is a basic Xpath. Now we will cover something which is related to the text context. See, observe, if I right click on this login button and here you can see that you are still able to see the attribute names and attribute value. But you can see that you can expand this. See? If you expand, you are able to see this text context. Then how to write the XPath for this without using any of these attribute names and attribute value? See, observe, as I told you, the XPath always starts with a double forward slash, which is a relative XPath. And I have to use the tag name, which is button. Open and close the square brackets. And here you do not have to write at the rate, because at the rate is only for the attribute names and attribute value. If you are using a text context, you have to use one method called text method, which is also called as a text function, is equal to within single quotes. Copy, copy this text and paste this text. This is how you can use the text context. Let's check whether it is working or not. Control F, it will open this. Just paste your XPath. You can see that the search result is 1 out of 1. Here you got to know that when writing the XPath using the attribute name and attribute value, this attribute value can be written inside a single quote also, double quote also. Then what over here? What if I write this text context inside a double quotes, double forward slash button text function is equal to within double quotes. If I try to use this text context, let's check. As you can see, it is working fine. So it is up to you. You can either use a single quote also, or else you can use a double quotes also. Anything is fine. So let's try with this password text field. You can see that the placeholder is password. Okay, na? Let's check whether you are able to use this as a text function, because you can see that something as password is displayed over here. In the previous video, I told that this is not a text function, but still some text is displayed over here. Can you use this as a text function? The answer is no, but still I'll show you in this video. I'll just copy this as a text and double forward slash, the tag name is input, input, open and close the square bracket, text function is equal to within single quotes password. This will definitely not work. Observe. As you can see, the result is 0 out of 0, because this is not a text context. This is something called placeholder, which will disappear when you start writing something inside it. Then how to use this placeholder and password? Nothing, right? Nothing but using the simple XPath syntax. Just triple click on it, everything will get selected, and double forward slash input, open and close at the rate placeholder is equal to password. This is how you can write a simple XPath for the placeholders. And imagine, when do you have to use this text context? When there is nothing called attribute name and attribute value, then you can go for this text context. In which situation you might face it? See, observe, there is something called this forgotten password link. If I inspect it, there is a tag name and there is one attribute name called href, for which the attribute value is so big, which is a link. And there is something called id, and for which the attribute value is consisting of numbers. So I'll not use it. In this situation, the only thing I can use is a forgotten password. Copy this forgotten password text, and the tag name is a double forward slash a, open and close the square bracket, at the rate text function. Again, remember, at the rate text function. If you write like this is absolutely wrong. As I told over here, observe this one and observe this one. When you are writing the text context, you are only writing like this, because this is just a text. This is not an attribute name. If you are using an attribute name, you have to use at, because you might make mistakes like this. do not write at when you are writing the or else when you are using the text context. Okay, na? Please remember that. So text function is equal to within single quotes or double quotes, copy and paste the text context. So if I use this, as you can see, the result is 1. And make sure that if you are using a text context, each and everything should be included. So you can see that in this forgotten password, you are able to see this question mark also. You are able to see question mark over here. So you can see this question mark in this text context also. Then what if you write Xpath like this, double forward slash a of text function is equal to, instead of using the entire text context, see, instead of using the entire text context, what if you remove this question mark? Will this XPath work? No, this will absolutely not work. Observe, the result is 0 out of 0 because the question mark is missing. So remember, if you are using a text function like this, entire thing should be used. So what if you want to use some partial functions like this? You do not want to write everything, you just want to write like this also forgotten. Then how to write? You have to use something called a contains method, and inside the contains method you have to use the text method. So how to write that? XPath always starts from double forward slash, tag name is A, open and close the square bracket, come inside the square bracket, use contains method, CONTAINS, contains method, and inside the contains method, you use the text method. And here, please observe, when you are writing normal XPaths without contains, that means you are using equal to symbol. Okay, na? I repeat, when you are not using contains method, you are using equals to symbol. But when you are using contains method, you do not have to use equals to. Instead of equal to, you have to use comma, and everything is same. Inside the single quotes, you can copy paste the entire thing also, it is fine. See, 1 out of 1 result. And here you can use partial things like forgotten also. It is also fine. See, 1 out of 1 result. Then what if you don't use the question mark? See, I have written forgotten password, but question mark is not there. What if I inspect this partner? See, 1 out of 1 result. But remember one thing, the order should always be from left to right. Okay, na? If you start with forgotten, you can write space, you can write password, and then you can use question mark. So after forgotten, you cannot directly use question mark. Everything has to be sequential from left to right, even the spaces. Trust me, because see, if I use the same XPath over here, and if I use two spaces also, if I use two space, it is going to throw an error. Then how to resolve this issue, I will show you. Just you do not have to use any extra space, and make sure don't give any extra space, or else don't add any extra space, or else don't remove any extra spaces. You can either copy paste exactly as it is without using the contains method. If you want to use the partial text, just make sure that you are copying the text in a sequential order, left to right, and do not skip any spaces or words. Okay, na? This is how you can make use of a text context.